Hello, I am Father Francisco Ramirez, and I am a Capuchin priest, and I'm here with Tom and Micah Halden. Thank you for allowing us to share with you today on befriending priests in your lives. As encountered couples at Priests, we are called by our worldwide Marriage Encounter mission statement to proclaim the value of marriage and holy orders in the church and in the world. Whether newly encountered or more tenured, our personal mission and that of all encountered couples throughout the world is to build up the church and the entire world through both sacraments.
It's much easier for us to focus on the first part of the mission, proclaiming the value of marriage, because we're already married and in relationship with other married couples. When we utilize the tools from our weekend experience, our little church shines without words, providing the confidence to proclaim the value of marriage to friends, family, to the church, and to the world.
We wonder, though, how much of our time, treasure, and talent do we share to promote the second part of our mission, to proclaim the value of holy orders? Just as diverse as we are in years encountered and married, we surely have different levels of relationship with the church and its priest. How do we proclaim this value of holy orders if our only connection with priest is at Mass or in confession? We may love and respect priests from afar, but with this type of relationship, we truly limit fruits for ourselves, the priest, and our family that could come from a rich and intimate friendship. Today, we'd like to share our journey in proclaiming the value of holy orders and provide some tips on how to be in friendship with a priest in your life. Pope Francis has stated, being a true friend to priests and seminarians is a great gift the laity can offer the church.
As you walk in your personal faith journeys, so do we as priests. Pope Francis shares with us that to be a true friend to priests means knowing how to accompany and sustain them in faith, in fidelity, to prayer and apostolic commitment. Guillermo and Dolores are very good friends of mine. I met them soon after I became their pastor. They had already been very active in the parish. They were also one of the first couples to attend a marriage encounter weekend. To this very day, they continue to be very active in their parish and with Marriage Encounter. Though I am no longer their pastor, they continue to have a very prominent presence in my life. Over the years, we became close friends. They invite me into their home and around their family table. We have shared many a meal together. I know all of their kids very well. We have shared many sacred moments together, such as the birth of their children. I do not see them very often, not like before, but I do not question their love and respect for me. It is mutual. I feel grateful for their presence in my life. They are a model of church for me and for others. As their friend and priest, they inspire me to be the very best version of myself, the best priest I could be, and a true and faithful brother.
In further describing how we can befriend priests, our Holy Father said that lay people who offer priests true friendship are like the home of Bethany, where Jesus entrusted his weariness to Martha and Mary, and thanks to their care, was able to find rest and refreshment. We can offer true friendship to priests with no strings attached by loving a priest unconditionally. Imagine that. Priests need someone they can trust and someone with whom they can share joy and sorrow, just like we do. One of the most inspiring relationships we've experienced between a family and a priest was that of our beloved Father Casey and the Little family. Father lives 70 miles outside of Houston, and the Littles in the Houston area suburbs. When Father would be flying out of Hobby Airport for a WWME event, he would always stay the night before and after with the Littles. Over time, they became family, sharing special occasions, and becoming more intimate in their relationship through a weekly trialogue. Father spoke so tenderly of each of the children. One of the boys would lovingly give up his room each time Father stayed with them. This family was blessed by the intimate friendship they had with Father Casey, and we judge his life on earth was extended and sustained by their love. The love between this man and this family provides great hope to me. Hope that Tom and I can be more intimate and intentional in our friendships with priests too.
A CatholicExchange.com article on spending time with your priest states, "The ministerial priesthood has its role in teaching, governing, and sanctifying the mystical body, and the primary role of the priest is to make present the sacraments. They are our spiritual fathers who guide us on the path in a role of authority, but that does not mean that we should be isolated from our priest." One of my most prized priestly relationships was with our original pastor at St. Anne, Monsignor Killian Broderick. He was not a very approachable or warm human being, and the fact that he was a canon lawyer made him seem even more unapproachable. Fortunately, I work near our parish and can occasionally sneak away for daily Mass at noon. After attending several times, I got up the nerve to greet Monsignor after Mass, to thank him for his homilies. At daily Mass, he always took the time to place historical perspective on the readings of the day and truly explain what that reading was about. It was an awesome experience to learn so much about our Lord in a much deeper and intimate way. It was as if my eyes were opened wider after his homilies. It was an enlightened feeling, like discovering additional or new insight into a topic. After that initial conversation, Monsignor and I would chat after daily Mass whenever I attended. He inspired me to find a way to escape from work to attend daily Mass, and I will be forever grateful.
These are just a few examples of the needs and benefits to a lay couple and priest developing a friendship. With any worthwhile endeavor, there may be obstacles outside our control that limit a friendship between the priest and the laity. These obstacles may include shyness, fear, personal past experiences, or judging that we are simply too busy to invest in this friendship. We'd like to share some obstacles we had and how we overcame them to invest in and develop in this relationship.
The National Catholic Reporter quotes our Holy Father as saying, "The Catholic clergyman is anointed for his people, not to choose his own projects, but to be close to the real men and women whom God has entrusted to him." To be sure, a priest has a very special role in Jesus' ministry of salvation. Nevertheless, speaking for myself, I know in my heart of hearts I do not belong on a pedestal. I know I am not otherworldly. I suppose it is understandable that some people might be in awe of a priest for who we are called to be and what we do. Anyone who says yes to God is awe-inspiring. Married couples, children, families, and priests and religious. The limitation is that we often believe only priests are awe-inspiring. My friends Dolores and Guillermo are awe-inspiring for their continual yes and the love that exists in their family. They do not hold me at arm's length. They do encourage me to be the priest I am meant to be.
The NCR also quotes Pope Francis saying, "A priest is not a boss to be feared by his flock, but a shepherd who walks alongside them and calls them by name." I was raised a cradle Catholic, and priests were either teaching me religion or were instructing me how to be an altar boy. My view of them were as authoritarian people who I respected, but in some ways feared. That attitude stuck with me through most of my adult life, and I was always reticent to engage in conversation with priests, and certainly to befriend them. However, as I grew stronger in my faith and saw priests in action around our parish, on retreats, and during our worldwide marriage encounter experience, I realized priests are people too, who desire to be in relationship and who want to be shepherds to their flock. Over time, I was able to overcome my fears and hang-ups about priests and engage with them as fellow human beings. Now, more often than not, priests that we have come to know since our marriage encounter experience seem to truly desire to live their calling from God, to shepherd His flock, and a part of that is to be in relationship with me and you.
Before I converted to Catholicism, when Tom and I were planning our wedding, we met with a priest for pre-Cana classes. I was pretty intimidated by the whole process, but being in love and very young and naive, I followed Tom's lead and was very open with this man because he was a priest. I had many pastor friends and never imagined I couldn't trust a priest. Unfortunately, through the process, he broke trust with us. I wondered if I could ever trust a priest by letting him into my life after that. Honestly, for years, I never even considered being a friend with a priest and kept them all at arm's length. About 18 years later, we were blessed when Father Michael Forge became the parochial vicar at our parish. From his very first Mass, I began to see what a kind, gentle, and humble man he was. Over time, he honestly and candidly shared his journey to the priesthood and some of the mistakes he made along the way. I thank God for giving me the courage to trust this man of God and allow him into my heart, in friendship and in faith. Father Michael's brokenness and how he overcame it helped me to eventually forgive our pre-Cana priest and be more open with other priests in our lives. As encounter couples and priests, our weekend experience has taught us relationship concepts on risk, choosing to love, and forgiveness. These tools apply to our relationships with priests also. Often the obstacles and limitations to us befriending someone are just our fears. While reaching out is a risk, the reward can be as life-giving as the discoveries we made on our weekend. Yes, priests are busy men with great responsibilities, either in the church or to their order. But remember the words of Pope Francis, priests should not seek to stand apart from their people, but to instead become immersed in their lives.
We are called to be in relationship with priests, and they are called to be immersed in our lives. But how do we begin this priestly relationship? We all have friends who appear close to a parish or order priest. It may be a priest uncle, or their current parish priest, or even an order priest they know through ministry or their child's school. They make it appear so easy. How did that relationship come about? What makes that priest want to be in their family's life? How did that relationship grow to be so deep and intimate? Micah's church sister has an awesome relationship with our pastor, so we reached out to her and her husband to gain insight into how they developed their bond with Father Henry. They shared openly with us and empowered us to be more intentional in our relationships with all priests. We're going to share their insight and some from Father Francisco as well.
Now here are some areas that you might want to focus upon as you try to develop a relationship with your priest. Be the parishioner that a priest hopes for. Attend Mass regularly and stop by and shake his hand. If you were touched by something he said in his homily, tell him. Be sincere. He'll appreciate you were listening. Take your children by to see him after Mass. Most priests love the opportunity to bless a baby, to live a moment through the eyes of a child. Go to confession. Do your homework. This is not a spy mission. but rather a gift, attention to detail that you will eventually give him. Learn what he likes, his interests. Ask those who know him well if he prefers meals out or if your family could bring a meal to him. As you research, you'll want to learn his ordination date, his birthday, the day of his profession, as a way to honor him on his special days. For priests in a religious order, like Capuchin order, for example, find out from friends how you could support those orders in time, treasure, and talent. Finally, and most importantly, pray for priests in your lives, and all priests, daily.
After you get to know the priest through others, you'll want to approach him, just like approaching a new friend or neighbor. Last month, Mike and I had a lunch and mass date. We were pleased to see our new parochial vicar was presiding over that daily mass. Afterwards, we lit a candle for our daughters, and by the time we were leaving, most folks had cleared out, giving us some time to visit with this young priest. We introduced ourselves and warmly welcomed him to our parish. With no line behind us, we had time, and he seemed to as well, to visit with him, both sharing and making mutual connections. At the end of our conversation, we asked if there was anything we could do to support him in his new role. He smiled and humbly asked for prayers. After you greet your priest for the first time, be patient with this relationship and recognize that like a planted seed, it requires attention and food. It could take weeks or months to start to blossom. After he begins to recognize you, give him a call and ask if you can meet him for coffee, dinner, or in his office. And always pray for his openness.
As your relationship evolves, there are attitudes that can help you improve this budding friendship. Paul told the Philippians, "Have among yourself the same attitude that Christ has with others: humility, kindness, patience, support, and finally, selflessness." Emulating Christ's attitude with others, especially priests, will help build a budding relationship. Our behaviors have a big impact on this friendship as well. As Father previously mentioned, a few key behaviors to further build a priestly relationship are to participate in the sacraments and attend Mass regularly. Also, participate in parish events and programs, and always pray for him and all priests. Years ago, we had the opportunity to work with 2 Carmelite priests through 2 programs in our parish. They were so generous, sharing their gifts with these ministries. We quickly learned that we could also help out in their order by organizing regular cleanups and repair sessions at their facility. Many days we worked side by side with these 2 priests, painting retreat center rooms and pulling weeds. This time together helped us to grow in trust and intimacy, sharing stories and our mutual faith journeys. By offering physical help, we were able to further develop relationships with these 2 priests. While we don't see them as often as we'd like, we still stay in touch and are currently praying for Father Stephen, who is battling cancer. When we do get the time to chat with our priest, ask questions and listen intently. Pope Francis shares that we become friends only if our encounter with another person is more than something outward or formal. There's no doubt that our actions and vulnerability can easily turn acquaintances into friends. As this relationship grows, send cards of gratitude and celebration of his special days. Some other suggestions are to remember to invite him for functions he loves, like sporting events. Also, don't forget to invite him to your family's special celebrations. Finally, simply be the friend you hope for in this friendship. As you build upon your relationship with your priest friend, let him know he can depend on you through your actions and your prayers. Many of the priests we have met long for conversation that is not about the parish or school or the to-dos on their parishioners' wish list. We encourage all of us to be that true friend who listens and is a safe haven for our priests.
Friendship is a rare and precious treasure and should be treated as such. Jesus is our model. He is no tourist. He came to stay. He came to know us, not at arm's length, but face to face. The incarnation is like a loving friend who falls to his knees to embrace a beloved child. There's your treasure. And now, for a dialogue question. There is a priest in my life that needs a true and intimate friendship. How do I feel about acting on that need and working on developing that friendship with him right now?
We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. And we pray that our unity may one day be restored. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, yes they'll know